everyone and welcome back to the channel, and today we are doing a product review. Let's have a look. That's right, it's been a while, as it always is, since the last video, but it's been great. Since last video I have been to the CCC convention, Chris Congreve's convention that he does up in Cannock, and had a really good time. There was a lot of my good friends there, and just it's one of those kind of conventions that's just nice and relaxed, you know. The intimate conventions, I find, is where it's at. And yeah, we had a great time there. There's been a ton of things with my electrical work and all sorts. It's just been very busy in a good way, but it just meant that I haven't been able to do these videos. So we are going to be looking at a product today, and this is by a friend of mine called Paul Fowler. Now, you may know him as the guy who created Overdraft, and Overdraft is just one of those tricks that is just always on me. Okay, it's always in my wallet when I'm carrying it. A lot of the time I just have my MagSafe wallet now, and everything's kind of stripping right down. But at a gig, or if I'm going out and I'm taking my wallet with me, Overdraft is just a fantastic kind of transpo routine, or you know, two credit cards. You clone them into the same design. I really like that effect, and I really think that if you don't own it, you should have this. This should be your everyday carry thing. And we're not talking about that item today, but I wanted to mention it because I think Paul's kind of focus really a lot of the time is on everyday carry items. And I think this next item that he's brought out really fits within that brand. Okay, we're looking at things that you just carry on you every single day, and can you do magic with them? Now, this effect is called Prophekey, which I think is quite a good title. And there's been many big name magicians who have said some testimonials. Some of them, among some, are a man called Ian Bailey, and let's just have a look at what he says about this effect, shall we? Let's read it together. He says this: Paul Fowler has the key to my heart. Good pun. An understated item you carry with you, with an insanely creative reveal, one that doesn't look like a pre-prepared, manufactured magic prop. I will definitely be adding this to my EDC. And that is by a very nice gentleman called Ian Bailey. So I want to thank Ian for that contribution. And there's some others as well, but you know, this is one of the magicians that stood out amongst the whole list of magicians who left testimonials for Paul. So thank you, Ian, and I have to say I wholeheartedly agree with him. I really do on this trick. I think it is one of those props that isn't looking like a magic prop. Let me explain. Let's just go into it, shall we? Let's go into it. So this is the box. This is the box that you get. Now, I will say my first negative comment. Not that there's going to be many, but I want to say that just to kind of lure you in. When I got it, keys were rattling, and I don't know why, but I kind of feel like that already was a slight bit of disappointment. If it's held into the box in transport, and you open it up and all the keys are kind of nicely nestled in, you know, it maybe has a sponge interior or something, it just adds to the kind of the nice sensation of opening the box. That's not Paul's fault, and I'm not blaming Murphy's for that, really, although it is Murphy's fault, but it's nothing major. But you know what I mean, like when you open it and it's rattling, that's a shame. But anyway, let's open it up. So this is what you get inside the box. So underneath here, in the packaging here, by the way, the cardboard box is very good quality, I have to say. It is very, very sturdy, strong. It's a nice box, it really is. But underneath the inside of this box, you'll receive a QR code and then a password in order to access the tutorial. I will say that is something which I think was a slight oversight with Murphy's when they were designing this. Not only is the key rattling a problem, in my opinion, but normally in kind of magic products you get a QR code, but then you also get a tutorial link that you can type in case you're on your laptop or you haven't got your camera phone to hand. They only had the QR code, which I think is a bit of an oversight on that part. But once again, doesn't take away from the effect. I'm just saying this in future. I think it's good to have both, just in case you're on your laptop. But that doesn't take away from the quality of the effect at all. But it's just something that I thought was a shame. Now, everything is on the way up now. Okay, so we went down 2 steps for a second, but now we're going back up. So this is what you get in the box. Now you get 2 key reveals, which is a total of 4 keys, really, if you want to be handling this out. You get a key blank, and you get that in the silver, and you also get a key blank in gold. So you've got the silver and the gold here. So you've got the key blanks. Now you could, if you want to, get these cut to your own house key if you want. You could leave them blank, and that can add to the effects. You can put the blank key in their hand and suddenly it's kind of cut, and you can make that part of the effect. Javier does go through this on the tutorial. So you get 2 blank keys, and then you get your first reveal set of keys, which is the 4 of hearts. So hopefully you can see that there, the 4 of hearts. Now even look at the shadow on my hand. Look, that looks great as I look at the shadow. I think that really does pick up, that really does add to the reveal there. So you get 1 4 of hearts there, and then you also get a 7 of diamonds reveal. I think personally I prefer the 4 of hearts reveal. I think it's clearer. More clearer than the 7 of diamonds, but anyway, you get that there. My initial thoughts on this is I did think when watching the trailer it was 2 keys that were able to reveal both 7 of diamonds and 4 of hearts. It isn't. You will require a switch if you want to repeat this, but that doesn't matter. It's not a big deal at all. But yeah, it's you do have 2 sets of keys here. I wouldn't necessarily repeat it unless you're doing it straight after each other, a bit like, is it Richard Sanders' Remarkable on the pen, when the reveal appears on the pen. I think if you're going to repeat that, you want to do it straight away, rather than kind of going away from the table, let's say, and then coming back to the table at the gig and doing it again. I think if you're going to reveal both of them, do it in the same performance, one after the other, or the fact that, if you're performing socially, and you were out with your mates one time and you did the key trick, and then you think, I'm going out with some other mates, but one of them has already seen this before, maybe I'll do it with the 4 of hearts this time, then it is good to have that option as well. So it's nice that you get the two card reveals there. As for the performances, you get about 2 or 3 live performances from Paul, and then you also get some from Javier as well, who works with Murphy's. There was something about this that seemed particularly rushed in production, and not in terms of the quality of this, once again. But when Javier was kind of going through some of the tutorials, there were certain moments in the tutorial where he was saying, you should use this, but unfortunately we haven't got it to hand at the moment, it's on the way. And there was a couple moments where he was saying that. It's like, we recommend you should do this, but unfortunately we don't. It's not here in the studio. And so it kind of felt like there was maybe a rush to put this out for a certain time frame. I don't know how it works with big major magic companies, but I'm sure they're on strict timelines, and they have to release certain tricks by certain dates and things like that. So there was that kind of feel to it in certain points where certain things were mentioned. I did watch Monster Magic's product review on this, and Alex said that he goes into a lot of details about the keyring that Javier uses, or will use once it arrives, that Paul uses for the keys. It's basically a quick release keyring. And Alex doesn't care for that, but I actually do care for that. Things like that I get quite excited about. I like accessories, I like pocket accessories and things. And so when he was referring to certain keys, key rings, yeah, I was like, I know that brand. That's good. That's a good key ring. That's the finest key ring in the shop, sir. You've picked a good key ring there. Anyway, so he does go into details in terms of kind of managing your pockets and the best kind of suggestions of carrying these. The tutorials, I think, around about 40 minutes. I think off the top of my head, I think it's around about that. Now, what it does do is there are multiple ways of performing this. So I haven't really gone into detail in terms of what actually happens. So the way this happens, you know, the effect happens is, let's say you do have a pack of cards with you. You're at a gig, or you happen to have cards with you socially. What you would do is you would force a card, let's say the Four of Hearts, on your spectator, and then you say, oh, I haven't really got much on me, but maybe take some of these, some keys, and just hold them in your hand, right? And now pick a card, etc. And they pick a card. And then what happens is you take the keys together, and you just hold them together. And then they look down at the keys and they see that, in fact, it is the exact card that they were thinking of, the Four of Hearts. Now, I do agree with Ian Bailey's testimonial here, because what I like about this is some of the key gimmicks you see out on the market, their finished state looks completely manufactured in a warehouse, you know? I'm not going to name names on different things, but there's certain reveals or there's certain kind of key tricks where you go, that's impressive, but it's probably manufactured in a warehouse. And that's one of the kind of things that I like about my effect called keyring, where you take your key, they try and bend it, they can't, and then you're able to bend it right around your thumb and they can see it bend. Because that potentially is possible, although it's not, like it's extremely difficult to do. But a key being bent around your thumb is fine, you know what I mean? It's not something that is so outlandish that you think, oh, that's definitely made in a warehouse or a workshop. But this, I like this kind of very down-to-earth reveal, and I think Paul is an absolute genius for coming up with this. You know, you could have it revealed on one key, but to bring both of the keys together, to bring that reveal, I think is such a nice, clever, subtle way of revealing a playing card with your keys. Now, we could look at this and we could say, it's a shame it's a card reveal. And I do agree. Like, I think it would be so much cooler if it was the silhouette of Batman or something, you know, if it was a celebrity or something like that. Even if it was like a free will item, you know, like you had your keys, your wallet, your phone, etc. And then when you bring the keys together, that's one of the possible outs, is, you know, that it has a picture of your phone or, you know, your wallet or something, you know, something written down there, a word or something like that. That would be very cool, and that would be very, very EDC friendly. What they do give you is an app, and this is an app that if you don't want to go out and perform with your cards, you know, or maybe you are literally just carrying this and nothing else on you, and you want to be able to perform this trick, Paul does give you a app that is like a kind of a poker app where you press the kind of deal button and then it will kind of bring up random cards in a random order. And they can press it as many times as they want, and it is just random cards every single time. But then when under your control, when you get them to press it the next time, it will land on one of the force cards, either the Seven of Diamonds or the Four of Hearts. And that is a really nice way of doing it. I have had some of my friends have watched, well, one of my friends has watched the trailer, and he messaged me about this. He said, oh, you'll like this effect. And he said, I don't know about the app though. And I kind of agreed with him. I was like, yeah, I think the app's a bit unusual. But I think it's worth bearing this in mind, especially if you are a magic creator, you're probably aware of this. If you're not a magic creator, you may not be aware. There's certain times when you see a magic trick released and you think, why on earth did they do that? That's a bit weird. But normally what happens is you create a product, but if it doesn't have a toy element or it doesn't have something else that helps it make a whole kind of complete package, then it won't sell, and magic companies won't really want to take that on. I don't know if that's the case with this, but you don't have to use the app. If you looked at the app and you thought, well, that's a bit strange that, you know, someone would just press this dealing button rather than picking a card, or you psychologically force the card, you can do that, of course. But I think the reason why they give you this is to kind of add that everyday carry kind of package so that you've got that to go out with. So don't feel like you have to use it. One of the apps that was recommended to the viewers at home was something by Michael O'Brien. I'm not sure the name of it, but there is an app that he has with photos, I think, of playing cards or whatever you want, and it's a way of forcing that. He also references Curveball, or I Curveball by Oz Perlman. That was a classic, wasn't it? Do you remember that one with the contacts list? Yeah, so there's different ways of forcing a playing card without having a pack of cards. So don't feel like you have to use that and you have to perform it the exact same way. I think, you know, like I say, it is just a card reveal. I think you've got to be clever the way that you perform this, because if you were just to kind of put your keys in their hand and say, oh, pick a card or think of a card, look, it's on the keys. It doesn't really, it's like, oh, okay, you've just decided to write it on keys, haven't you? You could have written it down on a post-it note, but for some reason you decided to cut into some keys and put the card reveal on there. Well done. So you don't want it to go that way. I think what Magic needs is what I kind of talk about in some of my lectures, is signposting. So you don't want to just go, okay, I want to drive to Windsor, near where I live. You know, and suddenly go, oh, well, you're in Windsor now. It's like, okay, well, we got there quick, didn't we? Suddenly I wanted to go to Windsor, we're now there. But what you want to do is, weird analogy, but you want to kind of drive along, take the passenger along on the journey, and then suddenly you see there's a sign for Windsor. You're 500 yards away from Windsor. You're now in Windsor. You can now see the Windsor Castle, and now suddenly you're driving up to the gate and you're meeting the king. You know, these little signposts help the viewer know what's happening, and then suddenly now the momentum's building, and then suddenly they're there. And I think what I would change about this, and it's not changing the effect at all, it's something that I would add to mine, which I will do, is I am going to have the words "your card" engraved on here. Now, if you know me and you know my silly humour, you will go, oh, okay, yeah, that's typical Ian. But I think if you were to give them your house keys, and you were to say to them, if I can't guess this, if I can't predict this card to you, you're gonna win my house and the contents thereof. So you give them your keys, and you maybe have a guess, and you get it wrong, and then you say, okay, well, I did say you would get my keys, but wouldn't you be impressed if your card was engraved on those keys? And they say, yeah, I'd be impressed. So now we're kind of getting those signposts in, and then they read here, your card on these keys. And then now they're kind of thinking, oh, okay, that's fine. What you could also on the back is have multiple cards. So, you know, you could have a different cards on here if you wanted to do more than one reveal. But what you would do is show them your card there. And you say, okay, well, maybe that's not impressive. What if I was to do this, and this, and this? And maybe if you were to look down now, can you see that in fact it was cut into the key, your 7 of diamonds? So it kind of builds it up a bit more. So that's what I would do. Like I said, you can have different cards on the back as well if you wanted to. Maybe even incorporate the paddle move into that if you wanted to change that. into their card, and then have the reveal of the kind of the cut of the teeth there. One thing you can do, which is really, really nice, is using this 7 of diamonds, for example, is using a little torch. You could use your phone, but I like to use a little torch that I always carry in my pocket. And what you can do is actually have the 7 of diamonds kind of shine through the key onto the table, or you know, onto the wall. I think you would need to play around with the distance, because it could get just really blurry straight away and not be able to be picked up. But you can use the torch and shine it through the key, meaning that you've now got a big reveal on the wall, which I think is a really nice way of playing this really, really big, you know, on stage if you really wanted to, just with the keys in your pocket. And the torch that I always carry in my pocket as well. So all in all, this is a great effect. Like I say, it's very everyday. It doesn't look too kind of pre-manufactured. I think I prefer this over Prophekey. I think Prophekey was a great product that came out, but I feel like I say, it's kind of one of those things that's kind of too manufactured, where it looks like you've just kind of essentially switched it. But this, I think, is just more organic, and I love the idea of the 2 keys meeting. And so I think Paul has done a really, really good thing here. So on the whole, an excellent product. I really, really enjoy it. It's round about the £30 mark, and like I say, you get 2 card reveals with that, plus the blank keys as well. I think it's really good, and so you can purchase it from anywhere. You can purchase it from 2 of my friends in Magic. I've got Alex Kirk over at Monster Magic, but then you can also go to Alakazam as well. They're kind of 2 people I love to recommend. I've got lots of, you know, Magic friends who own companies, but Monster always has a close to my heart. But also Alakazam as well, also close to my heart, but they also have a discount code. And if you enter that discount code, which I'll put here, you will save yourself 5% off that £30. I think it's £30.46 at the time of making this video. You'll save 5%, and I will also get 5% of your sale sent over to me for using my affiliate link, so I would appreciate that. But yeah, I think it's absolutely a wonderful effect, and I think you should go out and buy it and just personalize it, work at it, and try and make it a bit more of a full routine and something that would suit you as a performer. But yeah, thank you very much, Paul, for sending me this, and I will see you on the next video.